Hey everybody, welcome back to Christmas Movie Club, and I cannot wait to get started tonight. So I was able to watch Hallmark's second entry into the 2021 Christmas season, and it is Boyfriends of Christmas Past. There's so many Christmas Past movies and, ghosts and that sort of thing. I keep getting the title mixed up. It's a fun play on words, play on previous titles though. Boyfriends of Christmas Past. And so that's the movie that we've got that we just watched, or I just watched. Hopefully you have watched it too. This was an enjoyable movie and a little bit different than a typical Christmas movie. There was some twists and turns, and it did not feel that it was not formulaic. I mean, of course, you kind of had a general idea of what was going to happen, but there were surprises along the way. A very enjoyable couple hours, though, to watch that. But let's dig deeper and find out and talk about some of this movie. All right, first question. Did the movie feel real to you? Yes, it felt very real to me, actually. I really appreciated that Lauren had a work thing that she was working through, but that wasn't actually the point of the movie. So many times, if you have a workaholic, if you have where work is the issue, then the female lead is obviously a workaholic and needs to work through that and find time to rest. And that wasn't really the case here. So it really did feel real to me that she had a job, she had a challenge, and she was working through that challenge. And that part to me really, I liked how real that did feel. The interactions between her and her best friends felt real. So a lot of it, there was definitely, yes, it felt real to me. If you were to write a fanfic about this movie, what kind of story would you want to tell? It's an interesting question. So if I were to write a fanfic, I would actually write about Nate and actually I have two sides of this, I guess. I would write about Nate and his background, having been in the foster system, and how that translated into him becoming a social worker and the work that he was doing with the community center. I would probably look at that perspective. And then on the alternative side, I would write a story about Lauren's mother and the type of person she was, because her leaving and why she left, maybe just the series of events that went into that, and somehow to help Lauren heal from that abandonment issue and to actually see it from her mother's point of view. So I think that would probably be that more than Nate if I had to choose between the two. So that would be my fanfic about the movie. Was the movie too long, or did you think it was a good length? Let's see. I think that it was a pretty good length. It had that same thing that we always have with Hallmark, that we have 10 minutes to wrap it up. It always surprises me when we come back from the last commercial break. It's always 10 minutes, and they always wrap it up in that 10 minutes. So that's always funny. But as far as like the pacing of the rest of the movie, I think it was a good length. I think it was they didn't drag out the story longer than it needed to be, and it wasn't too short. So I mean, yes, I think that was a good length. Was the ending of the movie good or an anticlimax? I think it was good. let me see if I can remember it exactly. Yes. Yes, it was good. I liked that they fast forwarded by a year, and so we got to see a little bit in the future. We didn't just see them get together. We got to see how that kind of played out a little bit and how it looked in practice afterwards. So I did think that was a really good ending. I always feel a little caught off guard, I guess, when it just ends on that. They got together, there's the kiss, and then it ends. And when they do that, I'm just like, So I liked being able to see a year into the future. Did the plot make sense, or were there some gaps or liberties taken to help the couple get together, or keep them apart? Did the plot make... Well, I mean, this one had a little bit of the fantastical to it, right? So you had the ghosts of the boyfriend's past. So, of course, that would be, well, I guess... So the plot does make sense. Oh, goodness. My brain is like, whew. I would say that, yes, the plot made sense, mostly. There was one point where I was really... Let me get my notes out here. So the one thing that there's one point where I was really like, what? Because there was this tension between Nate and Lauren from the very beginning. I mean, I thought that they were actually a couple, and I was surprised that they weren't. And so there's this tension, and you can kind of tell that Nate wants to say something to Lauren. And then all of a sudden, this random girl comes in the community center, and he immediately notices her and immediately walks over, as if he's interested. So that part. So I guess that would be a liberty taken, I guess, because it was odd in that perspective, and the tension and the breaking of the tension. I kind of feel like they filmed the scenes out of order, which they often do on movies, so that, it's not a big deal, but I don't think that the characters really knew where they were in their relationship, because the tension kind of felt really strong at the beginning, and then it loosened, and then it got strong again. So that part was kind of weird. But so I would say that that's one thing, that the tension of the where he all of a sudden meets Lily, and so that was, I think, it. What did you like best about this movie? I think that actually the thing I liked the best was the relationship between Lauren and her father, because her father was adorable, first of all, and I just really liked that interaction between the two of them. It was so lighthearted, and it felt very real and family-like, and I really appreciated that. So I guess that's the best. That's I know that's probably random, because that's not really what the movie's about, but can't help it. That's the thing that comes out. That's what I'm gonna say is my best. What are your thoughts on the movie structure? Did it serve the story well? I did like the way that the ghosts came in over time. They weren't every night, though, I don't think. I think we skipped a night. Christmas movies always confuse me, because they never tell you really how long it is until Christmas. I mean, I guess sometimes they do, but usually you don't know how long it is until Christmas, and usually there's something on Christmas Eve that they have to do. And it always feels like Christmas Eve is the next day, but it never is. So there were a couple of things I didn't really, I was a little bit confused on, which was, it seemed like there was an event, there was something to decorate for every night. They did the fundraiser right before they did the stocking, or the next party. So I got confused over what events she was supposed to go to and which, what was going on there. So I would say that part was a little bit confusing for me. I won't say it was a miss. It just, I don't know how I could have followed it a little bit better. The ghosts, though, worked well. I just wish I would have had kind of a timeline and had an idea of how many days there were that we were actually going over the course of the movie. So I guess that would have been the best thing, to actually have a calendar where she's pulling off the days or something like that to help me keep track of the days. So that's the one thing that I guess for the structure could have helped me. Do you think the couple in the story were realistic or not? I do think that they were realistic. The fact that they were best friends, the thing that felt off was the tension between them sometimes. So it almost felt like we had romantic tension when there shouldn't have been any. I also kind of would have liked to have seen that point where Nate saw her as more. If it happened before the movie, I just would have liked to have seen a flashback. I don't know. I would have liked to have had something like that. But the two of them, Nate and Lauren, are realistic as a couple. She was not realistic with some of her ex boyfriends. I did not see her with her first one. That seemed a weird match for me. And the last one seemed a weird match for me. Her dating somebody that was all about, being out in the outdoors and pushing her risks and that sort of thing. So, all boyfriends weren't. But Lauren and Nate were. Would you have given the movie a different title? And if yes, what would your title be? No. I feel like the story was inspired by a title or something. I mean, they go together too perfectly. You could not change the title. Ghosts of Christmas Boyfriends Past, or what is this title again? Boyfriends of Christmas Past. Yes, I mean, it was a perfect title. It worked exactly correctly with this movie. What did you think of the romance's pacing? Yes. I think that it was paced pretty well. I kind of wish there had been a little bit more, I don't know, her having a little bit more revelation as she went, I guess. Of course, then again, the big reveal at the end to her was probably pretty important. So I take it back. No, I wouldn't have wanted any clues that she was getting the message early on. I mean, I knew she would eventually, but I didn't. I guess I did not need to see that. So, I would say that the romance was paced really well, and the addition of a competitor was a good one. I just wish that the tension had not been so strong right before she was introduced, or there had been something that happened that made it so he was like, oh, I'm gonna go look over here then. So that's the only part I can say where I felt friction, but the rest of it I think was pretty good. Which character was your favorite and your least favorite, and why? Alright, so my favorite character is absolutely her dad. I thought that he was hilarious. I mean, just adorable, and the way that they interacted. So, he was my favorite character. You'll come to realize that I usually like characters that are not one of the mains. I don't know why. That's my favorites, usually. Least favorite. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't know that I have a least favorite. I want to say the company that made her do something the week before, but that doesn't seem right. There's no real bad guy. There's no bad anything, so I can't point to a least favorite. Nobody stands out to me as somebody that I did not care for. So I guess I don't have a least favorite. So just the favorite. He's adorable. What are the themes represented through the movie? The themes in this movie are family, I guess, And family doesn't have to be the family you're born into. You can be pulled into a family. There's lots of cases of that. You've got the foster family, or the foster system, the foster kids are kind of in family together. Then you've got foster families. You've got her family. Her mother is gone though, so family's always a theme, right? And then probably forgiveness. Forgiveness, I think although they didn't really talk about it, but that's kind of what she needed to do. She needed to forgive her mother so that she could move on. And then taking risks for something new. Connection, community, connection maybe. Maybe not risks. Maybe instead connection. So, yeah, I think that would be the themes. I can't remember what I said now. Forgiveness and connection would probably be the ones that that's going to be what we join to. There were a couple of things that I'm going to call whoopsies in this movie. Whoopsies, things that just make you go, what happened there? So the first one is in one of the very first scenes, where Nate and Lauren are walking along at nighttime, and she is holding her gloves, and she is holding them in the weirdest way possible. They're like draped over her hand, and she's holding them just like this, just like, and it was just a weird way to hold the gloves, and it's cold outside. Why weren't the gloves on her hands? There was nothing really a reason why the gloves shouldn't be on her hands, I don't think. So her holding gloves, and in that scene, at one point, they're in the left hand, when she's, and I can't tell if that looks like my left hand or not when you're looking at me on the screen. But, so she's got them in the right hand as she's walking along, and all of a sudden she's gesturing, and they're like flopping around with her left hand, and then they're back into her right hand, holding them in that very weird way again. So that was one whoopsie. And then the other whoopsie was she was having a video call with Nate, and it looked like your standard video call, but her picture wasn't on the screen. We only saw him on the screen as if it was a recording, and then they would pull back to see her in real life. So I don't have any video apps that work in that way. And this movie was funny because it had like social media and phone chats and that kind of thing. And it really went to a lot of effort to make sure that it didn't look like a social media that we currently have. It had the idea of it, but it wasn't exactly it. They definitely wanted to steer clear of that, make sure it was something separate. So those are the two. Is that the only two? Yeah, I think that's the only two real whoopsies that I saw. This movie was really enjoyable. I appreciated that she had real challenges to work through, forgiving her mother, moving past her bad memories for Christmas, while at the same time creating this pitch for her marketing firm, and it all kind of goes together really, really well. And then on the outskirts, you've got this relationship that could be something more. There are lots of conversations between women that don't have to do with men. And so, because I know that is a thing. So I really did enjoy this movie. It was really a different take, and I appreciated it very much. And so I'm going to throw a question to you to answer down in the comments. This bonus question. What character would you most like to meet in real life? From this movie, preferably. I mean, if you just want to, any character is fine too. But from this movie, which character would you most like to meet in real life? I would love to hear your thoughts on this movie, so let me know down in the comments. And I will see you next time. Merry Christmas! So let me down in the comments. Let me in what?